This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break. We are back. We are looking at leadership and service. Before the break, we had looked at quite a lot of things that are really important. How does servant leadership manifest, and qualities and characteristics, but of course very many other things. It's on this platform that we also knew that Dr. Patricia is a legend in leadership. But anyway, Doctor, how did if we please?
You're about to call her ancient.
I said legend.
But I have an edge over all of you here. So you're rightly putting it that
I'm slightly behind you. I'm slightly behind
the
you.
legend. Diana is still among the Gen Zs.
Gen Z, I'm an upper millennial. Upper millennial. You know, now you have to separate millennials. There are lower millennials who behave like Gen Zs, and then there are upper millennials who behave
So Edwin was asking a bit about that experience. How do I say I have been a leader all this time?
47, yet you're 40. So you started leadership at 2 years.
At 3 years.
At 3 years.
So when you look at that leadership journey, I don't know whether I could say that I was born a leader or self-appointed leader, but most of the time I find myself in the self-appointed responsibility, like in the family at home, and I find myself taking on leadership responsibility. Even if you do a group or working group here, you find that I'll probably propose that I be the chair, or I'll find myself chairing. In the international meetings I have attended to date, I find myself being appointed in leadership positions just because I have presented myself and my abilities as very pivotal in the line of leadership. So you asked, how do I develop that that servant leadership within me? You find that servant leadership basically develops from inside out. It's a thing you put in your inside. It's about your attitude. How can I be helpful to these people? How can I bring orderliness here? How can I be helpful? How can I contribute positively to this meeting? How can I be able to influence and change this situation? So it's about developing from inside out, because people can sense your attitude towards them by just looking at how you lead them, how you steer the boat or the ship as a captain. They can tell even when you look down on them or you want to raise them. They can tell by observing your body language and how you move, you know. They can sense whether you are a ladder climber or you're the one building the ladder. Because out there are so many ladder climbers. People want to climb and reach the apex. But when you tell them about construction of this ladder, and servant leadership is about constructing the ladder, bringing these nails, banging and making it firm, and making sure the nails are holding the pieces together so that as somebody climbs, he doesn't strip over and fall. So people can sense
a ladder builder has to build and leave, or after building you climb?
Well, you can build as you climb.
Okay.
But people can sense whether you're basically the one who wants to climb or the one who is actually participating in the building as it rises. Like in the beginning I said leadership is about learning and also bettering yourself. So as you offer this servant leadership, you're also bettering yourself as an individual. So you can be building and climbing through the ladder as well. And that is why serving others out there, serving people, is basically a thing which begins with the heart. Do not rely on your position and title, leaders out there, because it is not helpful. Believe in people and their potential and see things from the perspective of others. When you see things from the perspective of others, you're able to help them and contribute meaningfully to their lives. And then it's important to create an environment of encouragement. There are leaders out there who are always critiquing, you've done this wrongly, but you don't show them how they can improve and do it better. So I think a servant leader should always be objective as possible, and be able to influence even how people are doing their work. And then measure your success by how much people value you and how much you add value to others. So it is important to have basically those nuggets in developing servant leadership. Develop hands of a servant. Are you quick to help? Are you able to empathize with people when they're in challenges? It also calls for a change of heart and a change of attitude in order to improve ourselves. A change of heart is like gratitude, because it is not expressed, it has even little value. But as you seek to develop others, then you build a servant leadership heart, and you're sure to follow. They will be you're sure to follow on, and they will also be sure to follow you through the actions you offer them as a servant. So it's like a two-way. You're helping them, but they're also helping you, and probably they are your billboards, and they're talking about how well you're able to lead them. And in so doing, you're basically projecting yourself and climbing the ladder you have been building.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Dana, are there any challenges associated with servant leadership?
Of course, I think it's the way you can say, are there any challenges associated with leadership?
What are they?
I think servant leadership is no different from any kind of leadership.
Okay.
There will always be challenges. The difference with servant leadership is that familiarity will always be something that people will go towards. Because of the way you lead people, you are more likely closer to the people than any other leader will. So you're closer to them, you are beating their lives, and if you don't learn to set boundaries early, the one thing that you will always have is familiarity. Because people will begin to take you for granted. Everybody thinks that because you are calm around them, you empathize, you're dealing with them as if you see them, and in truth you do see them. The things that human beings, and all of us as human beings, will naturally do is that we will become familiar. And now, when that happens, it means that the boundaries have not been drawn, and re-establishing those boundaries also becomes difficult. That familiarity is what will lead to undermining your authority. And so they will undermine your authority, and they will use it for their purposes, to build themselves, and for some people to be ladder climbers, as she has said. Yeah, they will use your authority now because they are so familiar with who you are, and that's a delicate balance you have to have as a servant leader. That you need to know when to bring out the rod and when to have the human face. I love how the scripture says, when you see the creatures, there's the lion, there's the lamb, there's the eagle, there's the ox. All of them are the faces of different people, signifying different things, signifying humanity, divinity, and all the other things that are coming. So you can't have one face as a leader. It's impossible for you to have one face as a leader. You can't always be the one that's bending back to help people. There are days you have to bring out that road. And even in servant leadership, that balance has got to come to the forefront, where people will know not to extend boundaries beyond where you've expected them. I think the other challenge you'll always have as a servant leader is second guessing yourself. You will second guess yourself, especially if you are at the top of the leadership apex. You will second guess yourself. Why? Because the problem with servant leadership is that you're looking for consensus many times. Consensus from different people. And human beings are diverse in nature, and because of their diversity, their diversity is influenced by their background, by their training, by different things. And so their viewpoint will always differ. Now, if you are a kind of leader that's constantly looking for consensus, which is what the servant leader does many times, is look for consensus. And that consensus will not come many times. And so for you, you'll have to make that hard choice. And it doesn't mean that just because you're a servant leader, you don't make the hard choices. It's just that your approach is different from everybody else. You're looking for that level of consensus, and you won't necessarily have it on many days. And when you have to wield the rod, you want to do it in such a way that you don't lose people. And so what happens, the challenge you're going to face for you as that servant leader is understanding that even your insecurities or even the place that you're dilly-dallying on is something that you have to deal with as a person and as a leader, because those days of making hard decisions will come, and when they come, you have to take them as a leader. And I think the other challenge, again, as a servant leader, is also knowing when to say no. You need to know when to say no. I served as mama at the Faculty of Law when I was in school many years ago. Many years ago. And
when you say many years, there's a way you exaggerate it, and it sounds.
I'm allowed to do that. And so I remember that I never thought about myself. My pocket money was to help people with their airtime, to help people with transport. I was a student along with them. My pocket money that came from my parents, and I had more privilege than most of my students, so my pocket money every week was a bit sizable than majority of people and the homes that they were coming from. And so I would help and give money. I would take calls in the night. I would be woken up to take calls when someone needs counseling. I would, my parents' home became the home where everybody could come and meet in. You just don't know when to say no. And that's a challenge that many servant leaders need to rise up to, because you realize that you have to have that boundary of knowing when enough is enough. I worked my head off in being mama because the title had mother in it. And to be a mother meant you laid down your life, you did all these things that would help people be the best they could. And so I went over and above myself in laying myself as a tool. At the end of the day, I felt used by people. But that's because I did not have enough boundaries to say no. To say, you can't call me beyond midnight. Let me sleep. I'm not available on Sunday to cook for you. I have a home to go to. I have parents to see. Those boundaries were not created because the title had given me some mentality to assume that I needed to lay down my life in that posture. And so one of the things that you will struggle with in being a servant leader is the ability to say no, when to say it, and to get that place where you can say it is enough. I can only come this far. This is as much strength as I have now to offer you the leadership I need to offer you. And also to realize in that moment that there are those who have gone ahead of you, who can help you, assist you, hold your hand, help you not make the same mistakes that they have made, and allow you to see yourself differently. And I think that one of the things that I needed most in that moment was rest. Servant leaders need to learn that rest is important. God rested on the seventh day. You are not better than God, and you are not bigger than God. So you need to learn to take rest, know when to draw back. Jesus himself demonstrated that to us. He drew back. Leaders need to know Christmas holiday is Christmas holiday. Take the holiday. Easter break is Easter break. Your leave is your leave. Don't use it to go and work in another place. Use it to take your rest. There are people who are addicted to leadership. They are addicted to being on the platform, solving problems, and they need to do those things. Take your rest as a servant leader. Okay.
Doctor, how can someone, a servant leader, overcome some of the challenges? Because there are lessons that Diana learned out of her experience, but probably in your own experience also as a servant leader. What are those knocks you've encountered and have given you lessons that you can share with people?
Well, like Diana said, sometimes when you offer yourself as a servant leader, there are people out there who would like to take advantage of you and think that you can pay fees for everybody, think that it is your money that should be, used for certain activities and so on, think that it's your time, you must not rest because anytime they should reach you because they have your contacts and so on. But like Diana said, it's important to draw boundaries and find time for yourself and find time to better yourself and find time for your family. Because much as you're a servant leader, you're also somebody's spouse, you're also somebody's mother, you're also, and you have these other hats you have. Like you probably have responsibility in your home church, you have responsibility in office, but there are these other responsibilities as well. So I think it's better to draw boundaries and know when to do what and know what is prioritized for you as a leader. Are you going to be running left, right, and center because you want to offer servant leadership everywhere? So you need to set boundaries and prioritize what activities or responsibilities come in. Otherwise, you'll be this leader who will be running everywhere. At the end of the day, will do nothing because you cannot be a jack of all trades. So as we develop that approach towards servant leadership, it's important to follow through with actions of a servant, but don't again present yourself and allow people to sit on your head, because as a servant you must also have your positions with clarity, so that people will not misinterpret or misunderstand you and say, oh, she's not a leader, she has become so proud. Do not allow people to sit. Set your goals, set your priorities. And there are people who say that. And as a servant leader, again, it's important to examine situations at hand before you even act or move or take a move towards it. Like in Nehemiah, I like talking about Nehemiah and rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. He examined the walls and saw where the problems were, where there are cracks which were open for the enemy's attack. And he went there as an individual. He didn't go with a group of people. He just took a horse or a donkey and went and saw East Gate, West Gate, and he was able to identify where the weaknesses were. And as leaders, we need to do self-examination and evaluation all the time so that we are on track. We should think about how we can help the members of the team succeed. We should look for those areas where there are weaknesses and gaps and see how we can help members of the teams we are leading succeed professionally, personally, developmentally, and even in the area of relationships. Because at times when we think about the professional angle, then there are aspects which are forgotten, like people forget about their relationships and whatnots and concentrate more on the professional bit. Even personally, how can you impact people to better their lives personally? So it's important that the team succeeds holistically. And when we look at the professional angle, the personal angle, the relationships, even developmentally, there are people who have projects they start and along the way they abandon. Some people have started school, along the way they abandoned because of work pressures. But can you be able to guide that staff member or that person who needs guidance to be able to fall back online and continue with the projects which are abandoned? So if we make people better, then the more successful we become as leaders, because we will have impacted their lives, and people will see from the people we are leading. They'll be able to measure our success from those people whom we are leading. So I think for me, that is the way I would look at it.
Okay. Wow, our time is almost gone. Then what are your parting shots as we wind up this discussion?
I think that they will never be a greater servant leader than Jesus. He modeled for us what servant leadership looks like, and that's what we should strive to be like. Because in many ways, he demonstrates for us how to love people, how to walk with people, how to shepherd people, how to influence people. And in that, he has shown us that leadership is not necessarily positional, but there are aspects that we can grow in that will make us servant leaders. And I think that if you choose this level of leadership, what you are doing is choosing to improve productivity, to improve profits, to improve ethical behavior, and to allow others a chance to be the best of themselves.
Okay. Thank you so much, Diana. Doctor, your closing remarks.
Closing remarks. First of all, I want to thank the viewers out there for being up to this time, but encourage them also. I would like to encourage you to develop the hands and the heart of a servant leader, because a servant leader is that who lays his life and presents his or her life to help the others better themselves. And like Diana said, Jesus is a perfect example of the servant leader. And if we are to emulate Jesus, our Savior, then we need to present that servant leadership, because our God cannot be mocked. He looks at the heart. So it's about building and developing that attitude of serving others as servant leaders, of bettering the lives of others and impacting on them positively. So thank you very much for viewing this program and listening in. May God bless you all and have a blessed evening.
Amen. Thank you so much. You started with us and you are still watching Church of Uganda Family TV. We have come to the end of this particular program. Now, of course, it's been a very big team working. There is Jackie, there is SC. I don't know whether I should address her as SC or Esther. SC sounds a little fancy. Okay, SC and Brinko. And from the entire team, before we wish you a good night, Dr. Patricia is part of AYF, and she's a member of AYF, and AYF is celebrating 40 years. So they invite all of us at the All Saints Cathedral, Kampala, this Sunday on the 19th to come and celebrate together with them. Now, I'll request Doctor to invite the people as a member.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Edwin. Yes, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all out there to come and participate and attend this concert as the AYF celebrates 40 years of ministry and service to God. So come and join us to listen to the old songs we used to do many years ago when we were slightly younger than now. And I know it's going to be a very powerful fellowship at All Saints Cathedral on the 19th at 3 p.m. Thank you.
So, you've heard it from Dr. herself, and wish you a blessed night.